Aussie superstar Keith Urban has appeared on stage in America for the first time since his divorce from Nicole Kidman was made public. There was no mention of the turmoil in his private life.
They seemed like the perfect love story. Country music icon Keith Urban and Hollywood's shining star Nicole Kidman. For almost 20 years, their bond looked unbreakable.
Every negative voice, I'm sure even some of her own, and she chose love. And here we are tonight, 18 years later.
But just 3 months after their 19th anniversary, everything changed. News of their split stunned the world. Whispers of heartbreak, betrayal, and emotional breakdowns on live TV began to spread. But what truly left fans speechless was Keith Urban's reaction. What did he do? And what really tore this once unshakable couple apart? The beginning of forever. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban are two famous Australians who met by chance and instantly connected. They fell deeply in love, stood by each other through tough and dark times, and built a happy, loving family together. Their love story began on the 15th of January 2005 at the G'day USA Gala in Los Angeles, a glamorous event celebrating Australians who made it big in America. Nicole Kidman was already an Oscar-winning actress, known worldwide for her beauty and grace. Keith Urban, a country singer with a voice full of soul, was becoming a star in Nashville. They met backstage that night, two Aussies far from home. They smiled, talked, and exchanged numbers. Nicole later admitted that she was instantly smitten. She thought Keith was charming and kind, but he didn't call her for 4 months. What Nicole didn't know was that Keith Urban, though confident on stage, was shy when it came to love. He admired her deeply, but he wasn't sure he was ready to step into her world. A world full of fame, red carpets, and cameras flashing everywhere. But fate had other plans. When Keith finally called her, everything started to change. They began spending time together in New York City, where Nicole was living at the time, and their connection slowly turned into love. There was one moment Nicole would never forget. On her 38th birthday, at 5 in the morning, she heard a knock on her door. When she opened it, Keith was there, holding a bouquet of gardenia, her favorite flowers. That was the moment she knew he was the one. From then on, Keith Urban became the love of her life. By May 2006, they were engaged. Nicole confirmed it publicly at a United Nations event she hosted, and just a month later, on 25th June 2006, they tied the knot in Sydney, Australia. The wedding was straight out of a fairy tale, a candlelit ceremony at St. Patrick's Estate overlooking the ocean. Nicole walked down the aisle with her father, Anthony Kidman, while the organ played the classic bridal chorus. Nicole's children from her marriage to Tom Cruise, Isabella and Connor, were there to share the special day. Isabella was even part of the bridal party. Keith, dressed in a simple black suit, couldn't take his eyes off Nicole. It was as if no one else existed. That night, Keith sang "Making Memories of Us" to her.
I'm gonna be here for you, baby.
A song that perfectly captured their love story. As the guests left, each received a silver Tiffany clock engraved with the words, "A Moment in Time, 25th June, 2006, Nicole and Keith." After a magical wedding night in Sydney, the couple flew to French Polynesia for their honeymoon, filled with joy and dreams for their future together. But soon, reality set in, and the challenges of life and love began to test them. Just 4 months after the wedding, Nicole discovered that Keith was battling alcohol addiction. Out of love and concern, she staged an intervention. It wasn't easy, but she knew that to save their marriage, she had to help him save himself. Keith checked into rehab, and while he was gone, his album Love, Pain, and the Whole Crazy Thing was released. Ironically, the perfect title for that chapter of their lives. Despite the chaos, their bond didn't break. When Keith finished his 3 months of treatment, Nicole was right there, waiting for him. They reunited at a Hollywood party, smiling shyly but holding each other close. Not long after, they chose to start over, far from the spotlight and to the noise of fame. They moved to a peaceful farm just outside Nashville, Tennessee. Keith said all they wanted was to live like ordinary neighbors and enjoy a simple life. And that's exactly what they did. They spent their days riding horses, shopping for groceries like regular people, and embracing the calm of the countryside. For Nicole, it was a kind of peace she had never known before. Soon, their happiness grew even more when they received wonderful news. Nicole was pregnant. Keith said he had a great relationship with Nicole's older children, Isabella and Connor, and now he couldn't wait to be a father again. On the 7th of July, 2008, in Nashville, Nicole and Keith welcomed their daughter, Sunday Rose. In their statement, they said they felt truly blessed and thankful. "She's an absolute joy," Keith wrote online, expressing his gratitude to fans for their love and prayers. Nicole later shared a touching memory from her pregnancy. Keith had flown all the way from Los Angeles to Australia just to be there for her first ultrasound. He stayed for 6 hours, saw the baby's heartbeat, and then flew straight back for a show. That kind of love, devoted, selfless, and gentle, became the foundation of their strength as a couple. But behind the scenes, Nicole was changing. She said that when she married Keith, she burned most of her old diaries. To her, starting over meant leaving her past behind. She wanted her new life with Keith to be built on honesty, not history. Then, in December 2010, they welcomed another miracle. A daughter named Faith Margaret, born via surrogate in Nashville. Their happiness seemed complete. But life, as always, brought sorrow too. In September 2014, Nicole's beloved father, Anthony, passed away suddenly after a fall. Keith dropped everything and rushed to be by her side. At the funeral, he sang "Amazing Grace," his voice trembling with emotion. That moment showed the world how deeply they loved and supported each other, not just in joy, but in pain. Over the years, Keith often spoke about how thankful he was for Nicole. In many interviews, he admitted that she was the reason he turned his life around, the one who helped him get sober and find peace again. He said that before meeting Nicole, he didn't truly understand what love meant. He used to write songs about the kind of man he hoped to become. Now, he says, he's finally become the man he always dreamed of being. They had a simple promise: nothing to hide and everything to protect. Their love was never perfect, but it was honest and deep. In 2016, Keith Urban released The Fighter, a song inspired by his wife. It became a hit, and their playful video of them singing it together melted hearts worldwide. Their laughter and teasing showed a rare kind of love. Nicole often said her two anchors were her career and her family. A priest once told them, "Always kiss hello and kiss goodbye," and she believed that simple act kept their bond strong, even through chaos. Fame added both sparkle and humor to their marriage. When Keith released Gemini, calling Nicole a maniac in the bed, but a brainiac in the head, she laughed it off, saying she'd rather that than be called boring. That same year, Keith repeated their life motto: nothing to hide and everything to protect. They seemed unstoppable, sharing laughter in Christmas videos, performing together, and appearing at events hand in hand. In 2021, their daughters, Sunday and Faith, joined them on screen at the Golden Globes, a glimpse of their beautiful family. Keith proudly stood by Nicole at every event, from Las Vegas concerts to the Oscars. In 2023, they appeared radiant at the Oscars and Met Gala, Nicole glowing, Keith protective. Later that year, he played a clip from their wedding during a concert, saying it felt right to share a little piece of that day. But behind their bright smiles, small cracks had begun to show. The weight of fame, time apart, and unspoken struggles slowly pulled them away from each other. By September 2025, it was all over. For almost 2 decades, they had shared love, laughter, and healing. But this time, something was different. Something they couldn't face side by side. What truly happened between them? What could have broken such a beautiful bond? A fairy tale that shattered. For nearly 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban looked like one of Hollywood's strongest and most loving couples. They were the image of calm, kindness, and devotion. Two people who had found each other against all odds and built a beautiful life together. Fans admired the way they smiled, held hands, and always seemed to stand side by side no matter what came their way. But as time went on, the story that looked so perfect from the outside began to show quiet cracks on the inside. It didn't happen all at once. At first, it was just the small things, little distances, longer silences, fewer public appearances. Nicole and Keith had always balanced two demanding careers, often traveling across the world for films, tours, and events. They used to say that love meant always finding your way back to each other, and for many years they did. But somewhere along the road, life began pulling them in different directions. Nicole, one of the world's most respected actresses, was deeply focused on her film work and production projects. She had been through so much in her personal life before Keith, heartbreak, loss, and public scrutiny. When she met him, it felt like a second chance at happiness. For Keith, Nicole was the light that led him out of darkness, the one who helped him overcome addiction and taught him what true love meant. Yet, as time passed, the same love that once gave them strength began to be tested by the very thing that had brought them together: fame. The constant travel, interviews, and flashing cameras can be exhausting, even for the strongest bond. Keith was a country star whose soul belonged to the stage, while Nicole's world was on film sets across the globe. They tried to make both worlds fit together: Australia, Nashville, Hollywood. But sometimes love gets stretched thin between airports and time zones. Even when they were together, it wasn't always easy. Nicole once admitted in an interview that she and Keith sometimes went weeks apart because of work. They would text, call, and send love notes, but distance has a way of quietly building walls between people. What used to be excitement to reunite slowly became exhaustion from being apart. By 2024, fans began to notice a change. Keith appeared more emotional during his performances, sometimes breaking down mid-song when singing about love and loss. Nicole, who had always been private, stopped attending many of his shows. Rumors started spreading, whispers of trouble, of strain, of nights spent apart. But both of them kept quiet. They had always believed that love was something sacred, something to protect from gossip and noise. Behind closed doors, though, things were different. They were no longer just the young couple who had met by chance at the G'day USA Gala in 2005. They were now two grown people with years of memories, two children, and a life built on hope and healing. But sometimes, even deep love cannot save a relationship from growing pains. People close to them said they tried to fix things. They went to counseling, took breaks, and tried to reconnect as they had done before. Keith reportedly even canceled some appearances to spend more time at home, and Nicole took fewer film roles to prioritize her family. But no matter how much effort they made, something inside them had changed. A quiet, emotional distance that no one could see, but both could feel. By the 30th of September, 2025, it was over. Their representatives confirmed what many had feared. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were separating after nearly 20 years of marriage. The news broke hearts all over the world. These were two people who had survived everything: addiction, fame, pressure, long distance, and had still stayed together for so long. So what was it this time that they couldn't overcome together? Some say it was time. After 20 years, they had simply grown in different directions. Others believe it was the pressure of trying to maintain a perfect image while living under the public eye. A few even whispered that they had fallen out of sync emotionally, that while there was still love, there was no longer a shared rhythm between them. Keith once said that Nicole made him into a better man, that she was the anchor in his storm, and she often said that Keith taught her how to truly love and be loved. Those words still hold true. The love they shared didn't just vanish, it changed form. After the split, Nicole reportedly focused more on her children and her production company. She found comfort in her family, her work, and the quiet moments that fame rarely allows. Keith, meanwhile, poured his emotions into music. Fans said his performances became more heartfelt, more raw, as if he was singing straight from a healing heart. In interviews, he avoided speaking badly of Nicole. He said she would always be someone he loved deeply and respected completely. In a way, their story didn't end with hate or bitterness. It ended with quiet understanding. After all, they had shared nearly 2 decades, building a home, raising their children, and facing the pressures of fame and life as one team. They had seen each other at their best and worst, and through it all, they built something real. Even though their paths have now gone in different directions, the respect between them still seems to remain. The world may never know the full truth behind what finally led to their goodbye, but one thing is certain: their love was never fake. It was genuine, deep, and unforgettable. And now, as an old video of Keith Urban tearfully talking about almost losing his marriage resurfaces, fans are left wondering, were those emotions a sign of what was to come? Was Keith already feeling the pain of a love slowly slipping away? The video that broke everyone's hearts. When the world woke up to the heartbreaking news that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban had separated, fans began to dig through old clips, searching for moments that hinted at what went wrong. That's when one emotional video from 2024 started spreading across the internet again. A video that showed Keith Urban fighting back tears as he talked about the woman he loved and the mistakes that almost cost him everything. It wasn't a new interview. It was footage from June 2024, when Keith stood on stage at the 49th American Film Institute Life Achievement Award ceremony, honoring Nicole Kidman for her incredible career. But that night, his speech wasn't just about her movies or her fame. It was about their life together, their struggles, and the love that had saved him more than once. As Keith walked up to the microphone, dressed sharply in black, there was a quiet tension in the room. Everyone knew that what he was about to say would be personal. Nicole sat in the audience beside their daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, smiling softly. What no one expected was how emotional it would get. Keith started by talking about the early days of their marriage, when everything seemed perfect and full of hope. But just a few months after their wedding, his world began to fall apart. He had to check himself into rehab to battle his addiction. With his voice shaking, he admitted that he almost ruined everything, that right when his life should have been at its happiest, he nearly destroyed it all. Every word he spoke carried deep emotion. It wasn't a rehearsed speech. It came straight from his heart. Nicole didn't walk away. He said softly, "She chose to stay. She chose love. And because of that, he got his life back." The audience sat in silence. Some wiped away tears. Even Nicole, known for her composure at public events, couldn't hold back her emotions. She looked at him with pride and sadness, as if remembering every step of their journey. Keith spoke about how much he had learned from her, how her belief in love had changed him, how her emotional openness had taught him to express himself in ways he never could before. It was a moment of pure honesty, a glimpse into a marriage that had faced darkness but found its way back to the light. At that time, no one could have imagined that a year later, the couple would be facing separation. But after news of their split broke, that video came flooding back online. Fans began sharing it everywhere, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, calling it heartbreaking, prophetic, and the speech that said it all. Many said they could now sense the hidden pain behind Keith's voice that night. The clip reminded people that even the strongest love stories can carry invisible scars. To many fans, it showed that Keith had always been open about his flaws and how hard he worked to keep their marriage alive. Others saw it as a bittersweet reminder of a man who knew how close he once came to losing the woman who had saved him, and maybe he feared it could happen again. The moment became even more powerful because Nicole and their daughters were right there in the audience. Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret looked proud of their father as he poured his heart out, while Nicole sat with tears welling in her eyes. When Keith finished, he looked straight at her and smiled. In that one speech, Keith had shown the world what love, regret, and redemption looked like. He didn't hide his mistakes or pretend their marriage had been perfect. He owned his past and honored the woman who helped him overcome it. It was one of the most moving tributes ever given at the American Film Institute Awards. When the video resurfaced after their separation, fans flooded the comments with heartbreak. For longtime fans of the couple, watching the clip again felt like watching a time capsule. Keith's words, once filled with celebration, now sounded like a farewell. His tears, which once seemed to come from a place of love and emotional healing, now feel like a quiet warning, as if deep down he already sensed how fragile their world was. Even though their marriage has now ended, that moment remains a powerful reminder of how deeply they once cared for each other. But what happens next? What does life look like after their divorce? Have they been seen together since the split? And what are they both doing now? The onstage moment. Just days after news broke that Nicole Kidman had filed for divorce, Keith Urban stood on stage without his wedding ring and sang a song that once symbolized their love story. The song was The Fighter, a heartfelt duet originally written about Nicole and the deep bond they shared in their early years together. But this time, one lyric sounded different, and that one small change sent shockwaves through fans all over the world. Keith Urban, who is 55 years old now, was performing in Bristow, Virginia, as part of his High and Alive World Tour. It was his first major public appearance since the heartbreaking announcement that his marriage had ended. The concert should have been a celebration of music, but instead, it turned into a moment that fans would replay again and again. During his performance of The Fighter, the audience noticed something unusual. Instead of singing the line, "When they're trying to get to you, baby, I'll be the fighter," Keith sang, "When they're trying to get to you, Maggie, I'll be your guitar player." The crowd froze for a moment. Standing next to him on stage was Maggie Baugh, a 25-year-old country musician and part of Keith's touring band. Maggie herself looked surprised, but smiled, later posting the video on Instagram with the caption, "Did he just say that?" followed by 2 shocked emojis. The post went viral within hours. Fans flooded the comments, connecting the dots, the lyric change, the missing wedding ring, and the timing of Nicole's divorce filing. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to go back to 2016. The Fighter wasn't just another hit for Keith Urban. It was a love letter. The song came from real conversations he had with Nicole in the early days of their marriage, back when they were still learning how to trust again after past heartbreaks. In an interview with Billboard, Keith said, "The song is about wanting to heal someone, wanting to take care of them, wanting to protect them. It's like a vow." He explained how Nicole inspired the song's tenderness, how he saw his role as her husband as someone who should surround her with love, so she could stay kind and soft in a tough world. It wasn't just music, it was a promise. That's why fans were stunned when he changed the lyric. To them, The Fighter was their song. In the clip, the crowd cheered as Keith sang the changed lyric. But when the news of the split broke, everything took on new meaning. People began to replay the video, this time looking for hidden clues. Maggie later edited her caption, adding fuel to the fire. Some fans defended Keith, saying he often changes lyrics for fun during live shows. Others weren't so sure, pointing out the timing, the missing ring, and how emotional he had been in previous performances. After the video went viral, all eyes turned to Maggie Baugh. The young musician, known for her incredible stage energy and violin skills, had joined Keith's tour earlier that year. However, reports later confirmed that Maggie wasn't even present at Keith's next show in Hershey, Pennsylvania. In her place was Natalie Stovall, another talented musician who often swapped tour dates with Maggie. Fans noticed that Keith had the same easy chemistry with Natalie on stage, playful, musical, and full of smiles. Still, because Maggie had posted the viral clip just before the divorce news broke, she became the center of endless speculation online. Keith and Maggie both stayed silent, refusing to comment on the situation. Keith's High and Alive World Tour continues through October, with shows planned into next year, the Bahamas and the UK. But for fans, the tone feels different now. Every song, every lyric, every stage moment carries a deeper meaning. They're not just hearing Keith Urban, they're watching a man who's living through one of the most emotional chapters of his life. And while he hasn't spoken publicly about the divorce, his performances, from the missing ring to the changed lyrics, are saying more than words ever could. In the end, Keith deeply appreciated the years he spent in his marriage. He held on to the memories, the joy, and the love they once shared. Though their relationship didn't last forever, he remained thankful for the time they had together, knowing it was genuine and filled with meaning. But since the divorce, many have wondered if Nicole has made any public appearances, stepping out in strength. After the heartbreaking news of her divorce became public, Nicole Kidman soon made her first appearance, and she did it with grace and purpose. The world had been watching closely, wondering how the Oscar-winning actress would face the spotlight again after such a personal storm. But when she stepped into the elegant ballroom of the American Foundation for AIDS Research in Dallas, Texas, on the 4th of October, 2025, all eyes turned, not in judgment, but in admiration. Nicole wasn't there to talk about her split or to answer questions about her marriage. Instead, she came to do what she's always done best: use her fame to make a difference. The gala was dedicated to raising funds for HIV/AIDS research, a cause she has quietly supported for years. Despite the pain she might have been carrying, Nicole stood tall, glowing in a stunning black off-the-shoulder gown that perfectly balanced elegance and quiet strength. The crowd went silent when she took the stage. Her voice was calm and sincere, filled with emotion, but steady with conviction. Before presenting an award to Taylor Sheridan, the creator of Yellowstone, Nicole gave a heartfelt speech that reminded everyone of her deep compassion and wisdom. Her words resonated through the room. Those who saw her that night described her as calm but reflective, as though she had made peace with her situation. Despite the recent turmoil, Nicole carried herself with quiet dignity, showing the world that strength sometimes comes from simply showing up. As flashes from cameras lit the room, she smiled warmly at guests, embracing friends and fellow actors. Many noted that her ring finger was bare, but her spirit seemed unbroken. Her presence at the event also sent a subtle but powerful message. Life goes on, even after heartbreak. She wasn't hiding away or retreating from public life. Instead, she was reminding everyone that compassion and purpose can heal even the deepest wounds. And while she didn't directly address her separation from Keith Urban, her choice to attend an event centered around helping others spoke volumes. It was a quiet act of grace, the kind that says, yes, life changes, but kindness never fades. Attendees at the gala described how Nicole interacted warmly with everyone, taking time to speak to young activists and researchers about their work. And truly, behind the diamonds, the lights, and the applause stood a woman who had been through love's highest highs and most painful lows. Yet she chose not to dwell on the past. She chose to give back. Even though their marriage has ended, Nicole still admits that Keith will always be the love of her life. That says a lot. Their story may have changed, but their feelings haven't completely disappeared. The love they once shared hasn't vanished. It has simply taken a new shape. Now, instead of being husband and wife, they've chosen to remain connected through care, respect, and the deep bond they share as parents. Both Nicole and Keith have agreed to raise their children together, even if they now live separate lives. Their focus now is on giving their children peace, stability, and the warmth of two parents who will always be there, no matter what. But what do you think ended their marriage? Share your thoughts in the comments below.